Pardon the interruption, but I'm Mike Wilbon, and for Halloween, I'm an old man yelling at you to get off my lawn.
And I'm Alex Ovechkin. You do that every day without a costume. Why are you doing
I'm going to drop the gloves with you in the commercial break.
I got to drop these gloves. You know why? I can't use my legal pad. I don't have the ability.
What happened to your tooth, Leon Spinks? What happened to that?
Oh, it's Alex Ovechkin. That's the tooth.
Oh, Ovechkin's missing a tooth?
He's still missing that one. Welcome to PTI Halloween Special, kids. In today's episode, Juan Soto contemplates his future, Chet Holmgren tops Wemby, and Booger McFarland joins us for 5 good minutes. But we begin today with the Yankees melting down in the 5th inning last night with a 5-0 lead, allowing the Dodgers to tie the game on 5 unearned runs, courtesy of 2 errors and Garrett Cole's failure to cover first base on an infield squibbler. The Yankees regained the lead in the 7th, but gave up runs on 2 sacrifice flies in the 8th. Dodgers brought in Walker Buehler to close the game in the 9th and won the World Series 4-1. Wilbon, will you remember this game for the Dodgers' resilience or the Yankees' mistakes?
We have to start this segment by just being honest with people and telling them that you and I were on the phone at 5-0.
Yeah.
And you said, I'm done.
Game's over.
The game's over.
Game's over.
Except it wasn't over.
I don't know. I said, yeah, 3-2 going back to L.A. over.
Over. Okay. So years from now, I'm only going to remember that the Dodgers won. Years from now. But today, and I'm cranky anyway, today I'm remembering, and this is sad, because the people who were involved in this, Judge, who I really, really like, who made his first error of the year, they choked like dogs. Mm-hmm. The New York Yankees, the personification of winning championships in American sports history, more than anybody, they choked. The errors, the mental blunder, they just sort of gave it away. And you're sitting there going, oh, my God, this is happening in Yankee Stadium with them in pinstripes, and they're not going to get out of it, and they couldn't. So today, I'm focusing on the Yankees' blunders. I'll get the Dodgers. We have the rest of life to celebrate the Dodgers.
So I'm going to echo much of what you said, but I'm going to explain why I stopped watching at 5-0. Because not only is it 5-0, but Garrett Cole is their best pitcher, and he's sailing. He has not given up a hit.
No.
And then you have these. Oh, I'm sorry for that. I got to get rid of these for a second so I can flip the pages on the yellow pad. Then what you have are 2 physical errors and 1 mental error, and the Judge error is extraordinary because that never happens.
No,
that doesn't happen to anybody. Okay, and with this, Mike, Garrett Cole has 2 outs in that inning. He can get out of the inning at 5-0 if he covers first base on the squibbler that I believe Mookie Betts hits to Rizzo.
I think Betts was going to beat him there.
There's a chance he gets out because this is before Freddie Freeman and Teoscar Hernandez get real hits and drive in a bunch of runs. So my sense of this is that using the word meltdown is very nice, but like you, it's an unbelievable choke.
It is.
The Dodgers didn't win as much as the Yankees lost. Now, in terms of the Dodgers' resilience, were they resilient against the Padres in a 3-5 series when they're down 2-1? Yes, they were. Were they resilient against the Mets in a totally wild series? Yes, they were. Were they resilient in Game 1 of the World Series when they're going to lose? They're going to lose 3-2 in the bottom of the 10th, and Freddie Freeman jacks out a walk-off grand slam. Were they resilient last night? Well, because they were handed the game.
But the person, I think you have to take advantage of these things. Somebody reached out, and they didn't screw it up.
No, they did not.
I mean, the Dodgers, there's a certain mental toughness about them that we saw in all the cases.
How about Walker Buehler? How about Walker Buehler coming in to save the game? He just pitched 2 days ago. So here's his line in the World Series. 1 inning last night, 5 2 nights before, 6 innings, no runs, ERA 0.00, as we called it years ago, a Blutarski.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
They did all the stuff you have to do to Dodgers, but today, Yankees. Ugh. So, the Dodgers are World Series champs for the 2nd time in 5 seasons, while the Yankees last won it all 15 years ago. So, Tony, what does this mean for the Dodgers? And where do the Yanks go from here?
So I don't want to get carried away. I want to use your word. I don't want to overstate anything. The Yankees and the Dodgers are really good teams.
Yeah.
I don't believe either is going to fall off the mountain, but I'll get to the Dodgers first. What did the Dodgers lack this year? They lacked starting pitching. So what happens next year when they come back? If Buehler is healthy,
a lot of it.
if Kershaw comes back, if Tyler Glasnow comes back, and if Ohtani pitches.
Yeah.
So do you like that? Because you're looking at a 110-win team and a contender for the World Series because their batting order stays the same. They got Ohtani, they got Betts, they got Freeman, they got Muncy, they got Smith, they got two Hernandezes. Okay, so they're in contention at that point. Because if you tell me that they're going to have pitching, I'm going to ask you, who are they not going to beat in the National League? The Yankees, where do the Yankees go from here? The first place they go is to fundamental school. Well, we'll get to that. But fundamental school, because they got to learn to run the bases and they got to catch the ball. But they still have Judge, and they still have Stanton, and they got Volpe, and they got a Jazz Chisholm. And if they get Soto back, exactly who's going to beat them in the American League?
They got some free agents, though, Tony. They got, Soto, Torres, Verdugo, Clay Holmes. Okay. We don't know about Rizzo with a club option. They got some guys who may not be there.
I understand that, but what's the most attractive place in the American League if you are a free agent and you want to go? It's Yankee Stadium. That's what they do. So I am a little bit offended by the notion of where do the Yankees go from here because it implies something is terribly wrong. I don't think something is terribly wrong. I think they had a terrible inning. Yeah. They were about to go 3-2 and back to L.A.
But the first place they need to go is spring training because it doesn't make any sense for the Yankees with those players and the payroll they've got to be near last in fielding.
Terrible.
It doesn't. It just doesn't make any sense. So base running and fielding, these are correctable things.
That's right.
You
Fundamental
start
school.
February 1.
Right.
So I like you, that needs to be corrected, and you just do it. But the personnel, I wonder. You could lose a couple of people and need a year to get going back. Look, Soto is not really replaceable. There? Well, he says he's open for business.
Okay.
So there are places.
Pretty good spot for him, though.
Yeah,
right?
But Soto's going to be great wherever he goes. And Tony, here's the thing. 162-game season used to reward the most talented teams out there almost every year. Let me just ask you this. I'm just going to pick a team. Suppose Soto wanted to go to Baltimore.
Yeah.
Where they're already really, really, really good.
Yeah.
And you add somebody like him, and you increase your win total by 8 or 9 in the regular season to get better in the playoffs. I'm just asking.
He could do the same thing if he went to Philadelphia. If he goes to a good team,
yes, that's my point.
Then he helps him a lot. Would you get rid of the manager of the Yankees? Would you blame him for this? I would not.
I would not.
He put the players in the right position to make the playoffs.
Yes.
Yeah.
World Series.
All right, we move to basketball.
Yeah.
Well, on the game you wanted to see last night, your appointment viewing was San Antonio and Oklahoma City because you think Oklahoma City is the best team in the NBA.
I do.
And you think Wembanyama and Holmgren is going to develop into a great rivalry.
It will.
Well, not last night. Wembanyama had just 6 points on just 6 shots and sat the last 7 minutes as OKC cruised to a 12-point victory. Holmgren had 19 points and 5 rebounds in 28 minutes, which is fine, but it's not great. Could you see Holmgren having a better season than Wembanyama?
I could, but first I got to get rid of this candy. Because you know what? There's no candy corn. I don't like this candy. Corn. And I don't even like the sign.
Your sign.
All right, I got a cane. I'll swat somebody.
Okay.
Now, yeah, Holmgren could have a better season from this perspective. His team can win a championship.
There's a better team.
Wembanyama's can't.
Plays for a better team.
People are going to go crazy over Wembanyama and what he didn't do last night. I'm paying no attention. Greg Popovich went out and got Chris Paul and Harrison Barnes, and Pop stayed himself. And those guys, they're going to make life a little bit difficult for Wembanyama on the front end. So on the back end, those veteran guys, they know what they're doing. They know how to start to get the best long-term out of Wembanyama. He's going to be fine even though he's not fine this week. And you know Pop knows what he's doing, just like he did with Ginobili and Parker. And sometimes he put a foot up there, you know what, because that's what he does.
Yeah. This is what I like most about you.
What?
When it suits you, you ignore the thing you just saw and you focus on a larger picture.
I told you this was going to happen.
No. And when it suits you to just focus on the narrow thing and say this guy's going to be really good, you do that.
No, I told you the other day to start this season that Wembanyama by March 1st may be the best
That's
player.
Right. So let me get to that.
I'm still going there, but Holmgren could win now.
I have heard you say rhapsodic things about Wembanyama.
Yes.
I've heard you say, as you just said, he might by March 1st be the best player in the NBA.
Yeah.
And I have also heard you say that his progress will be accelerated because Chris Paul is next to him and will give him great passes for great looks.
Yes.
Well, last night he took 6 shots. Were they all great shots? I doubt it.
Game 5.
Okay, and he was out.
Doesn't matter.
Well, again, my sample size is last night. And then they played together. Paul and him played together in the third quarter. He had no points in the second half. He had no
growing pains.
I haven't seen as much of Holmgren as I should to know if he's going to be as good as Wembanyama. His team's going to be better this year than Wembanyama.
Yes.
You know, I sometimes think, Mike, that if you're going to have a rivalry and you're a big man, you have to guard each other. Wilt and Russell guarded each other.
They didn't guard each other much last night.
They did not. They only contested 5 shots total in 48 minutes.
Well, Tony, we'll see what happens as they mix it up, and if they get in the series, that may be mandatory. But let's just say this about Holmgren in Oklahoma City, which nobody's going to notice until Christmas Day because they're not playing in New York or L.A. Oklahoma City
you think they're the best
may
team?
be the best team in the league. I think it's them and the Celtics.
Okay.
I think they're on a collision course. But Chet Holmgren may be the most improved player in the league.
Our eyes go to them because what are they, 7-2 and 7-4? Our eyes go to them. But there are better young players in the league having a greater effect on our team right now than them. On his own team, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has a greater effect.
No doubt.
Let's take a break. Coming up. Got the gloves on. I might take them off, get in a fight. What's wrong with the Ravens defense? We're going to ask Booger McFarland.
We're also going to ask him whether the Lions can keep rolling even without Aiden Hutchinson.
Isn't that the phrase, drop the glove?
No, I'm angry now. This is turf. I don't do turf.
You do grass.
I do a grass lawn, except in Arizona where you better do turf.
Yeah.
So get off my turf.
Is this tooth still big?
Pardon the interruption is presented by Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea, part of Happy Hour.
Week 9 of the NFL season kicks off tonight, which makes it a perfect time to welcome back our great friend, ESPN NFL and college football analyst, Booger McFarland, wearing something from Long Island's own Bethpage State Park, which I think is going to hold a Ryder Cup, Wilbur. I think it's a Ryder Cup side. Let's start with this, Booger. The Texans and Jets meet tonight. The Jets' defense has completely fallen apart since the team fired Robert Saleh. What are you seeing?
Well, yeah, I see a defense that's not very good, and I tell you why. Number one, the head coach was a defensive head coach. You fire him, you promote the defensive coordinator to head coach, and now he's got to deal with Aaron Rodgers instead of worrying about calling defenses, and your defense is struggling because of that. And let's just face it, we all thought that the Jets defense was just going to stay the same from last year. Like nothing stays the same. Tony, I remember last year, your hair wasn't as gray. This year, it's a little grayer. Things don't stay the same year after year. And I think everyone thought that the Jets defense was just going to be the same from last year to this year. You lose Josh Huff. Hassan Reddick hasn't come in until last week. And this defense just hasn't materialized into the dominant unit that they thought they would be.
All right, let's stay with defense and problems. The Ravens have allowed the most passing yards, the most passing touchdowns in the entire league. What is broken with those little kitties down there, Booger?
You know, Mike, pass defense is a combination of pass rush and pass coverage on the back end. And their pass rush is not as good up front. Last year, Kyle Van Noy almost had a career year. He's not doing the same thing. Justin Madubuike up front had 13 sacks last year. They're not getting that type of production. They brought back Yannick Ngakoue, so they're searching for pass rush. On the back end, they don't play man-to-man coverage as well. Just look at the last 2 plays of the game against the Cleveland Browns, and you'll figure out what's wrong with their defense. The second to last play, Jameis Winston throws a pick to Kyle Hamilton. He drops it. The ball is right in his hands. Game could have been over. Very next play, they come back with the same defense. Jameis Winston throws a touchdown, and now he's quoting Eminem, the white boy from Detroit. That shows you the difference between their pass defense. They could have ended the game, but they didn't. They're not taking advantage of their opportunities.
All right, if we're going to talk about pass rush, we got to work our way to Aiden Hutchinson, the absence of course, in Detroit for the rest of the season. Packers, Lions, Sunday. The Lions seem to be doing okay without Aiden so far. Booger, what are you seeing?
It's about culture, Mike. Like, if you think about the best culture in sports, we think about the Golden State Warriors, the San Antonio Spurs under Pop. In football, we think about the Pittsburgh Steelers, where it doesn't matter who the players are, you know they're going to play a certain way. And Dan Campbell has kind of built that in Detroit. Now, they don't have the titles like those other organizations that I mentioned, but the culture is there, and everybody in that building has bought in. It doesn't matter. Hutch is gone. The next man is going to be up. And you also have to give a shout out to the defensive coordinator, Aaron Glenn. He's going to be on a short list for head coaching candidates in the offseason. He's doing a phenomenal job. So between Dan Campbell, the culture, and Aaron Glenn, they do miss Hutchinson, but the other guys that are there are really buying in and really playing hard.
We will get you out of here on this, and we'll get you off the NFL and into college. The big college game of the weekend is number 4 Ohio State at number 3 Penn State. Big game. Which way are you leaning and why?
Well, to steal a line from my old mentor, Tom Jackson, if you're Penn State, if not now, when? You get the Ohio State Buckeyes in your house. I'm sure every shirt in the building besides the Ohio State band is going to be white. You got 2 good running backs. You got a good defense. You got a very favorable schedule. And other than Ohio State and Michigan, like James Franklin doesn't lose. So not only does he have to win this one, I think he needs to win this one. I'm leaning Penn State because I just believe home field advantage, especially when you get a team in your house. As long as Drew Aller, the quarterback, he didn't finish last game. Word is he's going to try to play this week. As long as he can play and finish the game, I love Allen and Singleton. I love their defense. And I just don't think Ohio State's been very good. Like Nebraska should have beat them in the horseshoe. They lost to Oregon. Ryan Day, to me, is not a big game coach, even though he's got a phenomenal record at Ohio State. I'm leaning toward Penn State, and as they say up there, we are.
Wow. Thank you, Booger, as always. Thank you so much.
Booger, appreciate it.
Anytime. I love the costumes that you have. I can tell exactly what you guys are. Alex Ovechkin and the grumpy old guy. Mike, you're more in costume than Tony, but both of them look good.
Very grumpy, Booger. You nailed it.
Let's take one last break.
Grumpy.
Still to come, Bronny gets his first bucket in Cleveland, but are the Cavs the real story?
And is Joe Burrow right that Sunday is must win for the Bengals? Joe Burrow's not right. Nobody's right. Nobody's right. They're young and stupid, everybody.
Okay, but don't scream at me.
Booger's right.
Camera.
Booger's right. Nobody.
The Interruption is presented by the refreshing taste of Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea. Please drink responsibly. Part of Happy Hour.
Happy time, people. Happy 77th birthday, Frank Shorter. History lesson, kids. You know how many people are out there running on the street or on tracks or on treadmills? Running's very popular now, and it wasn't always. There was a running boom in America in the 1970s that has sustained all this time. Shorter was at the epicenter of it. He helped popularize and glamorize distance running. The Yale grad won the Olympic gold medal in the marathon in Munich in 1972, then won silver in Montreal in 1976, becoming the only American to win 2 Olympic marathon medals. Shorter was on TV a lot, very likable, and all of a sudden there were marathon runners everywhere, like Joan Benoit, who won the Olympic gold in 1984.
You know something? I don't care about marathons. And if you run, even if you're in a marathon, you run on my lawn, Streeterville, whack you. Wouldn't even care.
Could we get one of those really pretentious 26.2 stickers and put it on your lawn?
No.
Happy anniversary, Miami Hurricanes. On this day 9 years ago, the Hurricanes used 8 laterals to keep this play alive and ultimately returned the final kickoff of the game for a touchdown to beat Duke with no time left on the clock, 30-27. Shortly after the game, the ACC announced that the entire referee and replay crews were suspended for missing a Hurricane player's knee on the ground and an illegal block in the back. So truthfully, Miami had no business winning this game, and Duke got hosed. As fate would have it, Miami will play Duke this Saturday. Miami is 8-0 and ranked number 5, and they have a Heisman candidate in quarterback Cam Ward. Duke is 6-2, and basketball practice has started.
Yeah, but Duke is pretty good now. I hate that one of those wins came in overtime
against your squad,
at Northwestern.
Your squad
on my lawn.
That was on.
Not happy.
Yeah,
we should have won that game.
It was also on your sailboat where your lawn is now.
It's true too. It's attractive.
They have that.
Makes me a little less angry.
Happy trails to last night's game for the Lakers. They fell to the Cavaliers by 24 in Cleveland. Bronny James's first pro bucket is getting the headlines.
Okay.
But the Cavs are the intriguing story here. Cleveland is now the last unbeaten team in the East, as the Celtics lost to the Pacers in overtime. Under new coach Kenny Atkinson, the Cavs are 5-0 with a point differential of plus 91. It's comically early, but of the previous 7 teams to hit those numbers, 6 made it to the NBA Finals and 4 won the title. So Wilbon, be a man and predict a title for the Cavs.
I won't predict the title, but I will say this. Kenny Atkinson's got them playing with pace. And I think they're second in the league in points per game so far. It's very early, but you got to like what you see from the Cavaliers. And, you know, LeBron comes in like that. It's a homecoming still for him and Bronny.
Sure.
And they took them apart pretty good.
All right, let's go to the big finish.
Let's do it.
CBS Sports reports that teams are circling Giannis as a possible trade target. Could that actually happen?
I think it needs to happen. I don't know that the window is still open for Milwaukee as currently constituted. But Giannis is still Giannis still one of the 5, 6 best players in the league. Helmet communications for the Power 4 teams have not been secure and will be fixed. Is that significant?
Sure, because it's like in the pros with communication through the helmets. If the other team can hear what you're saying, they can put a defense in right away. It's got to be secured. Joe Burrow said this Sunday's game at home against the Raiders is a must-win for the Bengals. Do you agree?
Yes, because the Bengals can climb back into it. Unlikely. They lose, there's no climbing back at anything.
No.
Sabrina Ionescu reportedly tore the UCL in her shooting hand in Game 4 of the WNBA Finals. You got a thought on that, don't you?
Yeah, well, that would explain why she went 1 for 19 in Game 5. She didn't know?
Probably not.
It just hurt?
Just played through it. It's tough now.
19 shots, a lot of
That's a lot
shots
of
when
shots
they're not
in there.
dropping. Last
That
one, your
makes
boy Karl Anthony Towns had a 44 in the Knicks win over the Heat. Are you impressed?
I am, Tony. And people say, Karl Anthony Towns not going to play any defense. The Knicks can't win with him. I think they can. I'm glad for Karl Anthony Towns.
We're out of time. We'll try and do better the next time. I'm Alex Ovechkin. I better go. I got a game in an hour.
Get out of here, Alex. And as always, I'm a grumpy old man. Same time tomorrow, you little vermin. You can get the PTI podcast on the ESPN app or Apple Podcast. You know, the knuckleheads I still like. And now, here's SportsCenter. Get out of here.
Ready for Halloween? They've got more in today's PTI bonus topic.
All right, Wilbon. What was your biggest takeaway from the Dodgers World Series win?
First of all, that's an illegal curve in your stick, Alex.
Well, if you get me one of those fire things,
Being
I'll
the
just
grouch
change it.
that I
I
am.
get it so hot, I'll move it the other way.
Look, in time, I will come to credit the Dodgers lavishly because they deserved it. They earned it over the course of a season and in the postseason. I got to look at. I'm looking at this game live last night. The Yankees choked like dogs.
They did.
They just did. Now, but as we look forward, as we spin this forward for the Dodgers, what strikes me is, oh my God, they can come back with a stronger team next year, maybe much stronger based on health if they have it. I would have a 6-man starting rotation of pitchers. Not, you used to have 4-man starting rotations, then 5 was, revolutionary. The Dodgers are always at the forefront of everything. Ohtani, Yamamoto, Kershaw, Tyler Glasnow coming back, Buehler, I know he's a free agent, Dustin May. Come on now. They could you look at this, you could score 2 runs a game and win 100 games if that staff is healthy. So I'm looking ahead, spinning it forward.
So my public confession is obvious. When it was 5-0 last night, I said this game is over.
Yes, you did.
The Yankees have done exactly what they wanted to do, and now, it's going to be 3-2 and they're going back to LA. I had no idea that this would happen, that these errors would happen. There'd be 2 physical errors and a mental error, and it would collapse in that way. I mean, my takeaway is very similar to yours because I'm encouraged by seeing Buehler pitch 2 days after he was a starter and go 5 innings with no earned and then shut it down last night. Roberts had nobody. He couldn't go to Yamamoto because if it goes 6, he's got to start Yamamoto. So I agree with you about the pitching. And when you combine the pitching with that hitting, they didn't have pitching this year. Yeah. So it's Ohtani, it's Betts, it's Freeman, it's Muncy, it's Smith, it's the Hernandez. Come on. That's a 110-win team right there. And they compete to get to the World Series. Seems to me they're in great shape. And if you talk about people leaving who are free agents, what are the 2 most attractive places to go to as a free agent?
Southern California.
The Dodgers and the Yankees.
One of them.
Yeah, the Dodgers and the Yankees.
I mentioned the pitchers because they're on dirt. They're on a mound. They're not on my lawn. I don't have to scream at them and tell them to get off of it.
I'm dropping the glove.
We're
Who wants
done.
to fight?
Back to you.
How's my tooth?